Hi, welcome to Business Influencers. I'm your host, Chris Salem. Hope everyone's having a great week. We are so excited again that the show continues to grow because of you, the listeners, joining us each and every week. And we want to welcome you new listeners that have joined us. You found us here at the TALRadio.org website, again, for Touch of Life Foundation. We hope you're enjoying a lot of the different types of content that is covered here on TALRadio, and we are excited to say that we've been with TALRadio since day one. Yes, we had launched business influencers in this category, and we've been highly successful because of you, and we are committed to your success each and every week and bringing in subject matter experts sharing their words of wisdom and insights to help elevate your level of influence, including your business, to the next level. The show can be listened to not only on TALRadio platform, but also on YouTube, our video portion, also Spotify and Apple. So whatever preference that you have to consume this content each and every week, you have your choice. So we encourage you again to follow us in all those four areas each and every week, and we don't miss a beat. Maybe perhaps there might be a week where there's a major holiday, but nonetheless, it doesn't stop us. Usually we always have an episode pretty much every week for you to embrace, enjoy, and take action with. Today's show is being brought to you today by Alumni Direct. Alumni Direct is a social media community platform dedicated to bringing alumni together from all different generational types and an opportunity to meet new people for the first time. Now, it is a membership program, taking out all the noise out of social media. You get to generate genuine and authentic relationships with the people you choose to interact with. If you'd like some more information about Alumni Direct, check them out at alumnidirect.com. That's alumnidirect.com. Well, I'm excited to have the show today. We're going to have somebody called The Connector, and our show is going to be from military to entrepreneur and everything in between. And I'm excited to have Joshua Palassis. Joshua has been in the military, started multiple businesses, wrote a book, failed a lot, and I love it how he says it because he sees that as part of the road to success, and now helps experts just like you and founders land more targeted speaking and podcast and develop interactive training programs and courses. And he started a podcast himself a while back called The Connector, where he talks to the most successful friends and experts out there to find, to cover fun and outrageous topics that move you forward each and every week. And without further ado, we welcome Joshua Palassis to the show. Joshua, how you doing today?
Good. Thank you so much for having me. I feel all hyped up now after that intro. I need you every morning just to.
There you go. Be your morning cup of coffee there. Yeah.
Yeah, for real.
Well, I love. We always like to start the show with the foundation, the backstory. Here you are, military guy turned entrepreneur, now a connector, and everything in between, and all the things you're doing to help people raise their brand on a personal and professional level. Let's talk about the backstory. What led to all this, starting with the military?
Yeah, well, in March 16th, 1995. No, I'm kidding. I'm not going to go back that far. It really ultimately just came down to I never had the ambition to be an entrepreneur. Didn't even know what the word meant. Everyone in my family is blue-collar workers or just the most success I'd seen was my mom, who's a pharmacist. And I thought, medical field, don't really want that. And so long story short, guidance counselor convinced me to go to a criminal justice program at a university. I was going to become a cop. I had my life planned out. I literally had from university to end of pension. Like I knew what I was going to do. And I also joined the military midway through school so they could help pay. It was going to assist in my long-term police journey. And that's it. I had everything planned out. You could Google the salary I would make in 20 years. Like it was going to be the normal life. And really came down to, and I'll fast forward a few years here, came down to the fact that I realized ultimately whatever path you're on leads to a certain destination. And if you don't like the destination, why are you on the path? So I started to look at the lifestyle, the time freedom or lack thereof, the divorce rate, the suicide rate, the alcoholism, the depression, a lot of the things that kind of came with the path I was going down. And I thought, well, and if I didn't say it, the income as well. And I was like, well, that's kind of depressing. So if I'm going down that path and I don't really like where it leads, nor do I want the lifestyle of anyone I know who's my instructor or who's my, well, what am I what am I doing? And so that led to a multi-year process of getting out of the military, kind of being depressed, not knowing what to do, trying everything from Facebook advertising to Amazon FBA to Facebook Marketplace, reselling, buy couches, resell couches. I would repurpose old Star Wars toys I had and turn them into movie-looking props and sell them on Etsy. I bought a day trading course. I bought NFTs and lost $2,000. You name it. I joined direct sales, MLM. I drove Uber, Instacart, you name it.
Wow, I love the fact that but yet you kept moving forward, and that's what I love about, especially young people that don't allow a hiccup or something that didn't work hold them back, because things that don't work the first time, the second time, and the third time, that's all part of the process. It's testing your endurance. It's testing, are you truly committed to providing value, being innovative and creative? And we're not always going to get it right the first time. And it's, there's always a lesson or lessons to be learned when we commit to that process. And I can look back and say, I am so thankful for those letdowns, those issues, those problems I had, those failures, whatever you want to call it, because I wouldn't be here today without them.
Yeah, 100%. And at the same time, if I didn't have the experience of driving Amazon package deliveries while trying to hustle at night, like I'm not as relatable when I get to those next levels. And I wouldn't say I'm there yet, whatever there means, but as I get...
No, but nobody's ever there yet.
Sure.
I don't care how successful you're, we're always evolving.
Agreed, 100% agreed. And so I always try to think, okay, excuse me, this thing I'm going through, it might suck, it might be hard, whatever, but this is a chapter in my book that somebody will read one day and say, I'm exactly there. Now, how did he overcome this? So sometimes trying to take that step back and think, my actions do have consequences, and if I choose the path of least resistance, people are going to put down that book and not read it. But if I choose the path towards greatness and towards growth and perseverance, somebody in 25 years is hopefully going to be inspired by whatever choice I make right now. So it's hard to think about that in the moment when everything sucks, but I try.
Oh, I love it. Now, what I'd like you to share is, some people that listen to the show, we have a mix of people. We have entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, we have business leaders at various levels. We have CEOs. We have a mix of people. And obviously it's always about, they listen to the show because they're always looking for ways to create influence, ways they can create more impact, become more valuable, be better examples and better resources for the people they look to inspire. And of course, for their businesses to do the same. What are some of the lessons that you've learned from, being in the military to becoming an entrepreneur and everything in between that have helped you to raise your level of influence, both either on a personal and or professional level?
Yeah. Don't be the smartest person in the room. Obviously, always try to look for mentors, people who are ahead of you, people who've created the kind of results you want, and ultimately you pursue those relationships. And I always think, well, if they're living the kind of life that I want and they're willing to teach me what they know, then maybe I can just reverse engineer what they did, right? Rather than choosing the vehicle first, I like to choose the destination first. Because if this is the mindset that changed everything for me, is if I say I really love Chris, I love my skateboard. My skateboard is really awesome. My skateboard has jewels on it and a cool photo. And then I tell you, but Chris, I want to go to Jamaica. You're going to look at me funny like, well, Josh, your skateboard's not the right vehicle, right? And I find people get so attached to their idea or their little business or their first business and not realizing that it's probably just the wrong vehicle to take you where you're trying to go. Yeah. So find mentors who can help you kind of reverse engineer. And then obviously we talked about this even off camera at first, is you need to do something that the market actually wants, not what you think is cool.
Well, and then you just nailed it right there. Instead of approaching everything how you think it should be, right? There's nothing wrong with an opinion, your perspective on things. There's nothing wrong. But if we consistently operate that way, we're met with disappointment a lot of times. Whereas if we could adapt to what is, sometimes we may not, wow, I never saw it that way. And I don't agree that I should go that. I still think I should ride the skateboard to Jamaica, but knowing that maybe I should do something else, even though I'd rather ride my skateboard, but now if I do something else and it works, well, guess what, man? Thank God I didn't ride the skateboard type of thing, So
right.
Yeah. So
and then you could ride your skateboard in Jamaica. How about
exactly.
that? Yeah, I just find people often try to put their opinions above what because I always think if you get in business, it's not for you. The business isn't for you in the first place. The business should be always to serve other people. And if you don't have something that's other people want to be served with, then it's not a business, it's a hobby. So kind of need to have a little bit of a reality check. If you want to be an entrepreneur versus if you want a Saturday hobby, that's a very big difference.
Exactly. Well, let's kind of pivot a little bit. You went from military to becoming an entrepreneur. You tried a lot of different things, and eventually, you kind of hit on, really helping people elevate their, brand awareness. You've worked with them on getting them on podcasts. What are some things that that you're working with right now that you find that are, besides podcasts or anything else with branding that are helping people to really step up their influence?
Yeah. This day and age, authenticity and your personal brand are, I would say, one of the most valuable, if not the most valuable currencies that are out there. If I trust Christopher Salem and I think you're a notable, authentic guy, I'm not saying famous, I'm just saying I see you on social media, everything you do seems authentic and genuine, and then you start selling me a protein powder. Well, hey, if I like you and I trust you, I'll probably just trust that it's a good protein powder. So your trust gets lent to whatever product or service that comes out of you. And so putting work, time, and effort and even budget into building your brand and becoming that authentic, thought leader, if you will, I think that's probably the best use of time and dollars when it comes to a marketing perspective nowadays. That's why the work I do is in that branding space. And if you get someone on a podcast, for example, who has 100,000 downloads per episode, then you're leveraging somebody else's audience who they curated. That person's going to spend money and time on editors to make you clips on social media. You come on as the expert, not just a guest, but as an expert. So you're literally leveraging somebody else's platform, somebody else's audience, and somebody else's dollars to build content for you and ultimately disseminate your thoughts and ideas. And that the host is kind of de facto promoting your ideas. Maybe some political podcasts, it's not the same because they purposely bring on people that are contrarian. But in general, you're now disseminating influence by leveraging other people's platforms. And then you do that enough times and in the right way. And if you are a genuine and authentic person, I think, sky's the limit, really.
You really made a really interesting point, and it was something that even came up recently. I had done a roundtable for a CEO and his company. He had his C-suite and his top sales performers, and oftentimes when you said that, it just hit home. They ultimately, when they're selling to their end user, their salespeople don't usually have direct contact with the final decision maker. It's always like a gatekeeper, right? So if they're going to influence the gatekeeper, they can't lead with features and benefits. They got to be able to build that rapport and trust. They got to connect on something that on a personal level is important to that particular gatekeeper. Making that gatekeeper feel like they're wanted, they're heard, like they're important, and that now they can trust that salesperson enough that they may be willing to go on a limb knowing that you're not going to make them look stupid. You're going to actually make them look good, because if I now connect you to the person who actually can make that decision, now what my company does that can make the challenge better, get the results, means something. But if I'm trying to talk about my company and how it can help your challenge to the person that doesn't even make that decision, that's it's not going to work. And I love the fact that what you talked about, people have to trust you before they can either refer you or connect you. Or actually, if they are the decision maker, say, yes, I'm going to work with you. And without that rapport and trust and eventually respect, that ain't going to happen. So I loved what you touched on there.
Yeah, and as a fellow gatekeeper, by the way, because the company I work with right now, I partner with them. At the time of recording this, I'm essentially the filter. My role to work with them is every single person that is an inbound, outbound lead, they have to get through me. So I'm actually the gatekeeper sometimes for the gatekeepers. And as that person, I will tell you, I sat down with somebody yesterday who had 17,000 followers on LinkedIn. In his bio, it was Forbes 30 under 30. I looked at his Instagram. Before we even started the call, I was already pretty warm to him, and I was like, hey man, you got some cool, but somebody maybe who has, and it's not just about following, by the way. I've talked to people who have 1,000 people on LinkedIn, but in their bio, I see whatever it might be, a TEDx speaker, this council member, this award winner, and so sometimes even just that reputation coming in, it actually sets me a little bit where now I'm not looking to disqualify you. I'm looking for reasons why I should pass you to, the appropriate member of the company to work together possibly. So, and I've even had that in reverse, not tooting my own horn, but just because I've spent years developing this. My LinkedIn has a decent amount of people. I think I've made it look pretty nice. A lot of people, when we're doing outbound to even just try to reach out to people on LinkedIn, they literally tell me all the time on calls, like every day, at least 3 people tell me, I never take calls like this. I really don't just respond, but I like the way you guys talked, and I looked at your profile and I wanted to meet you. So just my LinkedIn profile is bringing us more leads because I look legit and I post content and I'm authentic. So I literally live this every day. It's not just theory. I practice this. So I just thought that might be helpful.
Oh, absolutely helpful. Yes, I love it, what you just shared. And valuable information here. So yeah, in terms of, let's talk a little bit about connecting. You talked about like, when people feel like when you gave that example of that person you talked to and how he felt like, wow, he really knows a lot about me. And people like that, like that you're taking the time to get to know them, looked at their profile, maybe, not that you stalked them or anything like that, but you had enough that you could align with some of their accomplishments, things that align with their strengths. And that really builds that instant rapport and eventually, hopefully, trust a lot sooner than later. So is there any tips you could give us, like being a better connector?
Yeah, it's all encompassed in this statement. Nobody cares what you know until they know you care. So if someone just thinks you're coming at them with a sales pitch, if somebody just thinks you want something from them, and this goes to friends or business prospects or anybody, even romantic prospects, right? Yeah. You just want something from someone. I really believe, and people can explain this in different ways, whether you're religious or not, but like, I believe you leak energy out of you. And is it positive? Is it negative? Is it creepy? Is it genuine? And literally your intentions, I think, come through that, even over text. I swear to God, I've had seasons where I was, I just want to get some meetings on the calendar. I just want to get things booked. I want to make sales. Nobody responded. People were saying negative things. And when I just let it flow more naturally and I said, I genuinely want to connect with the right people. I want, it's just people would respond better. So I don't know how to explain this. All I know is that get yourself straight, get your intentions straight and make sure people know you care. Even the way you word and position your profile. Does it sound like ChatGPT made it and it's super transactional? Or does it sound like you put a little bit of thought and effort and you genuinely are out here to like build something awesome? Because people will be attracted to a mission and values more than to your service and your offerings. So that would be the main. And also one last thing, even on the last point, leverage your team. I'm not the founder of the company I'm working with right now. I'm doing my own stuff as well, but the company I align myself with, Brand Alchemy, they're called. I'm not the founder, but I also see the benefit of leveraging me as a team member, and my LinkedIn is helping them make more sales, right? So if you have a team or you lead a team, look at your team. Everyone has unique skills, and some of them might have awesome social media. Leverage that if you can, right? And I think, and then obviously compensate them for it and make them feel appreciated.
No, it's so true. And, they call that, like in this case, like it could be a joint alliance partnership. It can be that you're leveraging your strengths with their strengths and offsetting each other's weaknesses, because we're never going to be great at everything. And
of course,
that's so important to move your, business along or improve in any area, and I'm like, even my own personal relationship with my wife, I know what I'm good at, I know what I'm not good at, and I just try to position myself to focus and get better on the things that I'm already good at, and then use tools and resources to help me with the things that I'm not good at. Even if I can get a little bit better, I'm never going to be great at it. So no, it's awesome what you're doing. What are some other things that you could share with us, like about just your journey? Anything? Maybe talk about some of the things that are in between what we just talked about, whatever that between is.
Yeah, the between is what I shared before and so much more. Many nights, stressed, anxious, nervous, maybe a few tears here and there, just trying to figure out the path. And I think the scariest thing is not having direction. The scariest thing you can go through is not even the rejection or all that kind of, you're going to go through, if you want to be on this success journey, so to speak. But I think the scariest thing was not having a defined path. And so I think the quicker, whether that's through mentors, through books, through whatever, the quicker you can find yourself some kind of path to follow, everything else will start to fall into place a little bit more. But if you don't know where you're going and every day is a step in a different direction, that can be very frustrating. But at the same time, sometimes you need that season of a little bit of chaos to almost figure out how to find peace in the chaos and just trust the process. I know this sounds kind of general and generic, but I can teach it out of my own faith background and give very specific wording, but I'm trying to be more maybe general right now. But I do think whether it's through meditation, prayer, like you need to just be able to be peaceful, reduce anxiety. When you can, especially when you're in those storms, I think of that really as that's your testing ground to overcome and conquer anxiety. Because anxiety is just fear of things that probably won't happen. So you're just overthinking things that haven't happened and probably won't happen. And so just having more peace and calm, I think will then, and being emotionally regulated. I don't know where I'm going with this, but I'll leave it with this. I'll leave it with one last point is I think the more, I heard John Maxwell say this a few times. He said, I give myself like 24 hours to be really excited about something or really sad about something. And then life goes on. So the more I can keep my highs low and my lows my highs not so high and my lows not so low, and just be a little bit more streamlined and kind of mid-level emotionally, the more I can endure long term. Because people that typically, and I've seen this, I'll be recruiting for a team. Oh my gosh, Josh, I can't wait to join you. And then the next day, their dog has a cough. And they say, you know what, man, things are too hard for me right now. I can't start. Not emotionally regulated, right? So I actually see it as a red flag when people are too excited, to be honest.
Yeah, that's true too. You know, there's something about calm energy. It's that calm confidence. It always, to me, makes people feel psychologically safe. And sometimes it can actually make people feel the opposite, but usually those are not the people you want to associate or be in your circle regardless. They might be intimidated by that. So whatever reason, it's still a good thing. But nonetheless, it really truly is. So I'm glad that you shared that because that is some great wisdom to drop with us. As we get closer to the end of the show, is there anything else that we have not covered that you feel is really imperative that the audience should know, either from your experience or something that, we've talked in and around, with, covering different subtopics of you, being from military to entrepreneur and everything in between?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things I've had challenges with, and I know I've talked to a lot of people, it just seems to be a common challenge, is you feel like, all the years I spent in the military, all the years I spent in jail or doing this job or doing that. I wasn't in jail, just to be clear. But people think all that time was wasted. And I understand that, obviously. I think, if I went back, sure, there's some things maybe I would have liked to do differently. But at the same time, that leads to your unique lens and perspective on the thing you're doing. Simon Sinek is Mr. Popular Start With Why, big consultant, not because he necessarily does anything so different than every other consultant on the planet, but he really has a unique perspective on certain things because of his background, and he has this, I call this your niche of one. It's kind of, I got it from Kerry James, founder of Brain Alchemy. Your niche of one being, that's what he's known for. And so, again, when Simon comes into a company and does consulting, or Jocko Willink, if you know who that is, because of his Navy SEAL background, it's when he comes into a company to do consulting, it might not be that radically different than everybody else, but because of his unique background and perspective on life, he's able to teach probably some of the same principles in a little bit of a shifted way. So whatever your background is, from Yale to jail to, everything in between, I think leverage that and realize that that's what makes you relatable. That's what gives you your unique edge. And I think most people waste their pain. And it's maybe a loaded statement, but a lot of the things we go through in life, in fact, most, if not all things, I think can be used in the service of other people to move forward on that journey. So if you waste your pain, what I mean by that is you go through things and then it just always stays with you. You never help anybody. You never learn from it. You never grow from it. So that's why, kind of go back to what I was saying before, when I'm going through something, I'm always thinking, this is a chapter in the book. Who's this going to inspire one day? By the way, easier said than done. Nobody's perfect at moving through pain. But the last fun little, statement I'll leave you with is, don't get a motel while you're going through hell, right? So go through it. Don't stay in it. Don't waste the pain that you've had to endure, but use that to now be an impactful mechanism for people, be relatable, and add to those chapters for that book one day that I think can, lead a generation. So, but it's all a choice.
It is the choice. And then, like I said, and you made the choice to be resilient through your whole process, what you talked about today, which sums up the title really well, from military to entrepreneur and everything in between. Joshua, this has just been a great discussion. I wish we could spend another half an hour. I wish the show were an hour, but it's only a half an hour. And I want to make sure there's some time here that we can, give you the time to let the audience know where, what you're up to, what you would like to provide them, and how to get in contact with you. But before we do so, I want to personally thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to be here today with us, not only for myself, but the rest of the team here at the Touch of Life Foundation, which TALRadio is part of. So again, we want to extend that we thank you very much for being here.
Of course, I appreciate you. Thank you for inviting me on.
Yes.
The easiest way for people to find me is just my website, joshuapalassis.com. If you ever forget how to spell my last name, it's just Palassis. So joshuapalassis.com. That has all my socials. It has a link to my podcast, The Connector, on everything. Videos are on YouTube and Spotify, Apple, Amazon. It's on everywhere. And also my new school community that I just started. So kind of an offshoot of the podcast. For those, I would say my school community is for me 10 years ago. The thing I wish I had, where I could come into a group that had all the 101s of mindset, sales, psychology, real estate, financial, and not taught by me, by the way. I don't think I'm Mr. Expert at everything. So having guys like Chris hopefully come in and
yes.
and teach a lesson on, whatever the topic might be, or if I have an expert salesperson come in to teach sales 101, sales psychology, I'm going to teach some lessons that I'm good at, like how to not be a creep on LinkedIn when you reach out to people. So all these basics that I think are going to help people, how to network effectively, what mindset you need to establish, what books are I think necessary to read in that journey. And so if you're an expert listening to this and you want to be a teacher on the community, I'd love you to reach out. And if you're someone listening and you say, hey, that sounds like a community I want to join, as of recording this, it's free, but not for long. So get in while you can, my friends. But that would be joshuapalassis.com. That's where everything is.
Great. And we highly encourage everybody, to reach out to Joshua on LinkedIn, connect with his website, get to know his podcast, doing some great things there. So we highly encourage that. So again, Joshua, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us.
Thank you.
And listeners, we want to thank you each and every week joining us here at Business Influencers. Again, we are committed each and every week in bringing subject matter experts like Joshua in to help elevate you and your business's level of influence to the next level. It is through influence that you can now empower and encourage the people you like to be impact to be now more valuable to the audiences that they serve. So it's again through your example and resourcefulness. That's what every great master business influencer knows and does consistently and keeps passing on the torch on to others. Till then, everybody, have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next week here at the same time. Take care.